A badge of honor. Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But that's not how it feels today, and the stress of the job is taking its toll, taking lives through suicide and post-traumatic stress injury. A Badge of Honor podcast features the cast of the same name, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno. Sam, John, and the team offer the first responders workshops through their critical incident stress management teams and mental health liaisons to offer state-certified TCOL credit programs that save lives. It's time to smash through the stigma. It's time to heal from your injury, and it's time to back our blue. Welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast. Here are your hosts, Sam Horwitz and John Salerno.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam. We are powered by the OBBM network. And excuse me, just took a little sip of coffee and I started choking on it. And we are streaming over all your favorite platforms. Be sure to like, say, and share our show, because even one share, one click could help so many people. Hey, Sam, how you doing today?
Hey, doing great. And you know what? Happy anniversary, partner. It is so awesome. You and Tara, I love your posts. Guys, if you are not friends with John Salerno on Facebook, go and friend request him. It was so awesome. The video that you put together. So happy anniversary to you guys.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
She's definitely a rock. I don't know how she stays with me this long, and when we talk, in all our past podcasts, a support network is so important when you battle for our first responders and our veterans. And if you don't have the right support network, if you don't have the right spouse that's willing to, be able to take some of your crazy crap, things could fall apart quickly. So God bless her for being by my side and standing by me for 17 years.
We all bring our interesting shit to the table, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we got to have strength on both sides. And I just applaud you guys. It hasn't always been easy, but you've stuck together. And like I said, those pictures were phenomenal. They say it all. And you guys got to do something pretty special on Saturday.
Yeah. Do you want to bring up your thing in transition, or do you want me to bring that up?
No, that was my thing. Surprise! Happy anniversary.
Oh.
It'll be after the commercial that I do for Carrie in Texas. But surprise.
There's a great organization here in Texas that I'm just starting to get really involved in now, and it's called Roll Call, and it's roll-call.org. Roll-call.org, and it started with about 11 veterans. And just having lunch, breakfast, and at a local diner. And as it grew over a couple of years, more people started coming in, and it went to 25, then 50. They had to get another restaurant, and they did it once a month. And now they have over 500 veterans from the Texas area, all getting together for a luncheon at this roll call, and all these volunteers. And part of the Pitbull with the Battling Betties here in North Texas, they're not like pinups, but they dress in the 1940s garb, almost like Rosie the Riveter and all the pinup girls that all these veterans from the Vietnam and the World War II veteran era remember. And they take pictures and they speak with the veterans. So they threw an event this past Saturday, and they invited some of the members from all the veterans. And we had some Vietnam veterans and some World War II veterans there. And I was kind of just DJing and kind of just being a support person for the Battling Betties. And some of the old timers came up, and they were loving the music I was playing. I was playing stuff from the 40s and the 50s and bringing it back to their era. And the first thing that came up was they started dancing with each other, with the wife and the husband started dancing, and they were really connecting. And one of the daughters came up to me and was like, "Man, my father hasn't danced in 40 years. This is great." And I see a big smile on his face and the whole bit. So I felt really good about that. We can bring that because music does a lot, and we'll talk about that later. But then one of the gentlemen from the Vietnam vet came up, and he turned around and he goes, "Hey, may I talk?" So I said, sure. I gave him the mic, handed it to him, and he started telling about how this music brings back so many memories. And it brought back a memory. Like, music is good and bad. Music will bring back great memories. Music will bring back the worst memories. So it's just one of our senses that we have to realize we have, and we have to learn how to control it. But this brought back a memory back in his, when he was in Vietnam, where his partner in a Jeep that he was driving was shot by a sniper. And the sniper came out from the bushes and he gunned it and ran the sniper over. Then he backed over him and he counted it. He was like, 1, 2. And as he's counting to 5, he goes, I ran over this guy 5 times. You could feel, I mean, the way he spoke about it, you knew that this traumatic event, that this young kid at 18 or 17, whenever he went into the military, he felt that emotion with every 1, 2. You can almost feel the bump on the Jeep. And like, I'm reliving what he was talking about and the emotion that he put behind it. I could almost feel it in my chair. And I felt so bad for this man. And I was like, wow, he's reliving such a traumatic event. Then he turned to me, he goes, it felt so good to finally get that out. And it kind of encompasses everything we do with a badge of honor and all our partners and all our resources that we deal with, because you really don't know how healing it is to vent out some of that stuff. I mean, it releases the pressure that's inside you. And what people don't realize is that is such an outlet, and you have to find your outlet no matter what it is. I personally found the wrong outlet when I released mine because it was just a Pandora, but you got to find the proper and a safe outlet to be able to release that. And I almost felt like we healed him just by giving him that little platform to speak. And that's why I love a badge of honor. I love what we do each and every week, Sam, because you never know when you're going to help that one person. You know, it's not about helping the thousands or the hundreds. It's about helping that one person at a time. And it really changed my whole outlook on the whole weekend. It really uplifted me and gave me back the passion to say, man, we are making a difference in people's lives every time we touch another soul. And it was so great, and it was so empowering. I love being there. And thank you to Battling Betties and Roll Call for allowing me to be a part of such an amazing event. And, you know, go to their websites, check them out, because it's one thing here in Texas that we really need to get behind and support.
Yeah, and it's our guest tonight is certainly no stranger to providing a place for people to just unload in a safe space. And this soldier was, you know, this veteran was just in a place where obviously he felt safe enough. But Beau Armistead with Sojourn Counseling, welcome to a Badge of Honor podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm so glad to be with y'all tonight.
Absolutely. And, you know, Beau and I connected, I think it was through LinkedIn, like so long ago. Yeah. And we were going to be on a couple months ago, and then stuff came up. And I know it's because you were telling me about this project that you guys were doing. And you get to tell us all about the project that you're working. It's so cool. But before we get to that, please tell everybody watching and listening, you know, about you.
Sure.
And your background.
No, thanks again for having me on tonight. It's great to be with y'all. So yeah, I'm Beau Armistead, and I'm the director of Sojourn Counseling in Birmingham, Alabama. We're a nonprofit counseling practice. We specialize in PTSD and trauma recovery. And it's our mission, and has been since our founding 12 years ago. It's our mission to provide quality mental health care to anyone, regardless of their ability to pay. You know, I believe strongly that everyone should have access to good mental health care, and oftentimes it's financially prohibitive. I mean, counseling is expensive, you know, and so we like to do what we can to help those in need, particularly those living with post-traumatic stress. You know, all manner of issues, but really my heart and my passion is helping people process through and heal from trauma. And so that's what we do here at Sojourn. Last year, we served over 750 clients. We provided over $300,000 in sliding scale and pro bono services.
Wow.
And we hope to do more next year. I mean, it's kind of our goal. It's like my goal as the director is just to increase that those numbers each year. Because John, like you said earlier, it's not about reaching hundreds or thousands. It's about reaching one at a time. And for every one that we can reach, every one that we can help move towards healing, that's what it's all about. And so that's my goal, is to reach like more, one more each year.
It's that ripple effect. If we throw that pebble in the water, it's that ripple effect. We just have to have people to keep going. One thing I just want to piggyback onto what you said is, it's never too late. It's never too late. And, I got to share some of that time with some older veterans this past weekend. And a lot of the Vietnam vets and the World War II vets that are still around, they're hurting. They're in pain. And back then we had that suck it up attitude. And it's never too late to heal the traumas of those days. I watched a little bit of the 80th anniversary of Normandy. And I saw some of the speakers that went on honor flight, and they relived some of the stuff when they stormed the beaches. You could tell in their hearts that they were still painful memories. And got to let them know that going to counseling services, even at that age, can heal you and really extend the rest of your life.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, and I don't know the total direction we're going to go here tonight, but I can talk a bit about trauma and PTSD but the thing is with those guys at their age, it doesn't matter if you've been a year separated from the traumatic event or 60 years or how, like, it doesn't matter how long you've been separated from that traumatic event. It's still in your brain, and it's in your body, and your body and your brain holds on to that until you've had a chance to process it. And so, like you were describing earlier, the gentleman who talked about that traumatic event in Vietnam, when he ran over the sniper, when he was retelling that, like you described, he was feeling that, and he's feeling it because it's still stuck there in his brain. And when you experience trauma, all of the details of that trauma, sight, sound, smells, physical sensations, emotions, everything gets stuck there. And it's going to stay there until you've had a chance to process it. And so when you go back and access it to tell the story, you're feeling it again, as if you're in that moment. And that's, a lot of what post-traumatic stress is reliving those events that you've experienced before. So
I think it's important to unpackage when we're talking about the correct way to do that, versus, just reliving it and being in it. And so we will do that when we come back. We got to take our first break. Stay tuned, everybody.
Interested in starting a podcast or TV show? Worried about what you'll say and how to keep it engaging? Think you'd like to be a guest on podcast, radio, or TV shows? Hi, I'm Susan Hamilton, owner and founder of OBBM Network, and I would like to invite you to an OBBM media training to get the tools you need for a relaxed and polished performance you'll be proud to share. Our specialized training techniques include role play, voice training, and everything you need to deliver a confident, clear, and engaging interaction. Go to offbeatbusiness.com. Go to the calendar and register for a training that's convenient for you. Dates available now, 214-714-0495.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam, with Beau Armistead. Thank you, Beau, for joining us today. And before we
I'm here every week, so
yeah, you're here every week. Did I say Sam, right?
Yeah, you said thank you both for joining us. I swear, because John, it's like, I'm not gonna razz you about it, partner, but because you have so much going on between social media and what you do with the radio show and this podcast, I'm just gonna razz you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sam.
Yes, and yes, you're guest appearancing and you're emceeing here, and it's freaking awesome because you're healing people, and I love it.
Before we left the commercial, we were talking about an event. That I went to, where we had some World War II and Vietnam veterans. And Beau, you talked about unpackaging, and Sandy, you were talking about unpackaging trauma. And as I'm speaking about this certain event that I was at, I'm thinking about, he opened up in a forum, right? It was a happy forum, it was a fundraising forum, but the music kind of sparked that. And then I'm going, I wonder how many times a day this man relives this trauma. He was in a Jeep, right? So anytime he's driving down the road and he sees an open top Jeep or something, does that spark something? Sure. Or if he runs over a pothole, does that spark something? And I'm thinking, my mind is going, I'm thinking about all the different impacts. When you brought up the sensory system, how does somebody, and that's just one traumatic event, that's just one.
Yep.
God.
Yeah, because it's probably saw a lot.
Right. What this poor man must have went through or goes through on a daily basis. And this, when we talk about why it's so good to release it, it's got to be physically and mentally exhausting on the brain to fight that fight every single day.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the amount, when you're living with trauma, and, if it's okay, can I kind of give a description of please. The way I like to describe to people the impact of trauma is, so our brain can process anything that we experience in life. Anything, we experience stuff all day long, every day, and our brain can process those things. When we go to sleep at night, we experience rapid eye movement sleep. That's our brain's natural process to go through our day, process the events of our day, file those things away. And so our brain's like a filing cabinet, and everything we experience in life from day to day gets filed away in a very orderly fashion. And that is if it's not traumatic. But our brain can't process trauma. So we can go through any normal day, anything we experience on a normal day, even if it's disturbing, and I'll say a bit about that in a minute, but even if it's disturbing but not traumatic, our brain can process that, it can file it away, and then we're just kind of done with it. If it's a traumatic event, your brain's going to hold on to all of the details of each traumatic event you experience. So again, sight, sound, smells, physical sensations, emotions, everything connected to that event is going to be stuck in your brain, and your brain's going to hold on to it. And the purpose for that is that your brain wants to protect you from experiencing that thing again. And so it's going to hold on to all these details. And now it's kind of, I consider this your computer. It goes into the computer, and your security system is now scanning your environment 24/7 for any just inkling of a detail that would resemble a threat that feels familiar. And so you experience this one trauma like this gentleman did in Vietnam, everything associated with that trauma goes in here now. And now for the rest of his life, 24/7, his brain's going to be scanning his environment. And that's a hypervigilance. Your brain is scanning to make sure that there's no potential threat that resembles that thing that you experienced before. And so it is exhausting because you don't get a break from it. And when you sleep at night, it's all throughout your day. And, so the difference in, I said, if you experience something disturbing, like the way I like to describe that is if you're, you've got an important meeting to go to and you're running behind and you get stuck in traffic on the interstate and there's an accident, and like, oh gosh, man, I'm backed up in this traffic. This happened to me Saturday night. I was on my way to Atlanta and a tractor trailer turned sideways on the interstate. And then we literally sat on the interstate and parked for almost 2 hours while they cleaned it up. So, but that sort of thing, if you've got a deadline, you've got a time frame, that kind of traffic jam can be disturbing, but it's not traumatic. And so 24 hours later, you're not still going to be feeling the way you felt in that moment. You're not still going to be banging on your steering wheel and cussing and whatever, because it's all over and it's not a problem for you anymore. Your brain processed it and put it away. That's not true with the traumatic event. So for this guy who experienced this event in Vietnam, when he's retelling the story, he's re-feeling all of that stuff as if he's there again. And it's because all those details are right here. They're right beneath the surface. And so, back to the file cabinet analogy, like each day our stuff gets filed away, and it's its own separate file. Each piece of paper every day gets filed away. If you experience a traumatic event, it's like taking that piece of paper of that day, wadding it up and throwing it on top of the file cabinet. It doesn't have anywhere to go. And so it stays out there.
It doesn't fit neatly in the...
Right. It doesn't fit neatly in there. It's just hanging out there. And so all of that stuff is just right beneath the surface. And so that's one traumatic event, but then you experience another and another and another. And working with first responders and veterans, I've talked to folks who've been deployed 9, 10, 11, 12 times, or spent 30 years in law enforcement, where like there's a lot of traumatic events in there. That's a lot of paper piled up on entire filing cabinet. That's
Right.
all that stuff's feeding in, all that hypervigilance. And so, yeah, you're right, John. It's exhausting because it's taxing on you mentally and physically. Your central nervous system is taxed. People, you end up with physical ailments, GI issues, all sort of things, because your body's holding all of that. And yeah, it's an exhausting way to live.
So I've got a very specific question. We've got to take our next break. When we come back, I want to address since a week ago Saturday, the nation's all been glued to the TV. There's a lot of stuff coming out about the Secret Service. I was in Tower 1 on 9/11. Lots of everybody in the New York field office that was there, and there's people are sending me stuff, and some stuff has come out about that event, and this person has a platform, and it happens to be another female. She's not an agent anymore, saying that why she doesn't feel like counseling helps. I totally disagree, but we will come back, and I want to ask you that question when we come back. Stay tuned, everybody.
Move freely, America, without medical restrictions or penalty. Without medical freedom legislation in place, our rights and freedoms are one vote away from being dissolved. Move freely, America, with one voice, without fear of retribution, achieving a common goal, medical freedom. We the people make our voices heard by connecting with state legislators and engaging a constitutionally compliant medical Bill of Rights for all citizens. Individually, change is improbable, but as an aggregate, attainable. It's time to act with one voice. My voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
And my voice.
To protect our freedom, creating one voice that cannot be ignored. This requires your voice, too. Move Freely America. Go to movefreelyamerica.org to find a chapter near you. Plug in, donate, and help our legislators defend our God-given rights under the Constitution. Move Freely America. My voice.
And my voice.
And together with your voice, we're one voice that cannot be ignored. Donate today. MoveFreelyAmerica.org.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor with John and Sam and our special guest, Beau Armistead. Before we left, we were talking about packaging our mental health and certain things in our brains that stay with us, and how first responders and our veterans have traumatic events that can tally from 400 to 800, depending on what branch you're in or what you did and what your career length was. 400 to 800 traumatic events in a career, and your brain just keeps reliving those if you do not get the proper help needed. So, Sam, you were getting some text messages regarding this.
Yeah. So at first, I want to say that the live comment stream, I forgot when we opened the podcast tonight. We've got a comment stream. It is live. So if you guys have comments, if you have questions, please just go and put them in, and I'll see them, and we'll address those.
Getting a little feedback from you.
I think we have some weather moving in, so it might be on my end. Yeah, Beau, let me ask you, what would you say to a person? And like I said before we took a break, this person has a platform. So lots of people hear what she says, and on one of the interviews, people are sending them to me because we were both Secret Service agents. Is she doesn't like therapy because you have to talk about the trauma, and who would want to keep doing that? I mean, we're all in agreement. If you ruminate on it and you ask why, that's a problem. We don't want to do that. But to have the platform of thousands of people to say, why would I want to do therapy? Therapy just makes you relive. I was like, wow, you need therapy.
Yeah.
Can you address why that is an unfortunate opinion to have, and why?
Oh, absolutely. And it's a really unfortunate opinion. And it's, it grieves me to see people like that who have a public platform, like you're saying, and an audience that's listening to them and taking them seriously. And, with all respect, like she's talking about something that she doesn't understand. And it is true that when you talk about things, it's activating and it's triggering. And I'll get into just a minute about some therapies where you don't have to do that. But it's really unfortunate for someone with a platform like that and an audience like that, and people are listening to her and taking her seriously, to say that therapy is not the way to go. Because, John, like you were saying earlier, it's one person. If you reach one person on this podcast for good with the message that there is hope, and that's my message. I mean, I preach that message, if you want to say, like, as often as I can, anywhere I can, that there's hope.
Don't you have it tattooed on your?
Yeah.
There you go. I thought I saw that.
Yeah. There's hope for healing, and I say that at least once a day, if not 10 times a day, because it's true. There's hope for healing, and when you've got a platform like this woman does, and says that it's discouraging people from seeking therapy. Again, John, like you said, if you can reach one person for good, what if she reaches one person for bad with a wrong message and a message that's not true, and God forbid that person takes that message and believes it's true. Well, there's no hope for me. I don't even want to think about that in scenario, so it's very unfortunate. And the reality is that there's hope for healing. And I can say that with 100% confidence, because we see it all day, every day here in our offices. People can come in and we'll have people come in and say, hey, I've been in therapy for 20 years and nothing's happening. Nothing's changed. I'm still experiencing this trauma. And then we talk about the kind of therapy they've experienced. I'm like, well, that's not going to help you. It's like, if you came to me and said, well, I've got this cancer diagnosis, I've been to my dentist 17 times and it's still, I'm still dealing with it. Like, well, okay, like you got to do the right thing. You got to address it in the right way.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to interject on that as well, because me and Sam talk about, the modalities may be different, but the healing, comes to different people in different ways, and truthfully, I've had about 6 different therapists, right? And I'm sure, Sam, you've gone through your share of therapists. And
not as many, but
it's the couch you sit on, it's the person you're interacting with. There are a lot of therapists out there that don't know the veteran or the first responder field, and they come out and they start, they jump on the PTSD bandwagon, so to speak, and they really have no background or experience. But there are amazing therapists throughout the network that perform some great work and heal so many people from traumatic events, because they have the experience. They know the things that need to be said or used to help them. And it's not only reliving it, and when you talk about, you're not reliving it, you're learning how to, because it never goes away. It's not a race. It's not like erasing it. You're filing it, and it's showing you how to heal from that traumatic incident, and how to process it properly and store it away and uncrumple that paper and put it into a file, so you don't have to relive that trauma every day. Of course, you're going to have that trauma with you for the rest of your life, just like every other memory that's in your head. But it's not going to impact the way you live on a day-to-day basis.
Right, and that's the thing, John. Is that, and I'd like to talk a little detail about some of these modalities. But the thing is
Absolutely.
that when you are able to effectively process through a traumatic event, like what you said, you're not going to feel the impact of that anymore, because your brain can't. And the cool thing about, specifically, I'm going to talk about EMDR therapy. I'm an EMDR therapist and have been for years. And EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, is a highly effective, highly efficient way to process traumatic events. And by efficient, I mean, you can come in here to the office with the traumatic memory, whether it's combat, law enforcement related, fire service related, as a childhood memory. It doesn't matter. Like, trauma is trauma. It impacts your brain in the same way. You hold it in the same way. So if it's early childhood trauma, if it's any kind of abuse, crime, whatever, combat, work related, trauma is trauma. It impacts your brain in the same way. And when you're able to process through that using something like EMDR therapy, you really can file that thing away. And then it's like that traffic jam I was talking about earlier. Like you could look at it and be like, well, man, that sucked. I don't want to do that again. But you're not feeling it anymore. Like you don't feel that impact of that anymore. You can come in, you can process through a traumatic event, and you can walk out of here. If you walked in with on a scale of 0 to 10, you were like a 9 or a 10 disturbance on that thing, you can walk out of here to 0, and you will remain at a 0 for the rest of your life because your brain has now processed that thing, filed it away, and it's not going to be an issue anymore. Just kind of like that traffic jam is no longer an issue. And it's amazing because it's your brain that does the work. I tell people, like, I'm not some wizard. I'm not like, I'm not God. I'm not, but there is a modality of therapy, EMDR therapy, that works. And it's because it mimics the process in your brain that's a natural process, rapid eye movement sleep. EMDR therapy mimics rapid eye movement sleep. Rapid eye movement sleep is your brain's natural process for processing the events of your day. It's just manually getting your brain to a place that it can't get on its own, processing through something. And then when you've done that, you can let go of it. And so there's hope for healing. I tell people all the time, you don't have to white knuckle your way through life with post-traumatic stress. Like, you just don't. And I think the message that some people, like the woman you're speaking of at the Secret Service, some people and other organizations, I don't want to name names, but oftentimes there's a message that's communicated that you can cope with post-traumatic stress, and here's ways you can cope with it. And I tell people, yeah, coping is great if you're in the healing process, but coping is not your life plan. Like, I don't want to plan on coping the rest of my life. I want to plan on healing and coping in the meantime.
Well, Paul, let me ask you a question, and I just want to flip the script off the veterans and first responders, because as you were speaking, it brought to mind Elizabeth Smart. A child who was kidnapped and held for so long and endured, I think it was 9 months or 11 months of absolute torture. And that's a traumatic event. And she went through therapy. And now she took that experience, and now she's an advocate and she helps others. So it empowered her. We look at so many rape victims who went through a traumatic, horrible event, who take that event now through therapy, because without therapy, they would have probably never been able to cross that bridge, so to speak. They wouldn't be able to cross that bridge. And now they look at themselves as not so much a victim, but somebody who now could heal others and lead others to a better life. So, when this person says that therapy does not help, it's either that person.
Well, she said, why would I want to do therapy if I had to? Sure,
yeah, and
so
on that point,
it didn't work. She said, don't go.
Yeah. To that point, I would agree. Like, why would you want to open up these wounds that are just going to have you feel the impact of that trauma again when it's not being resolved? So I don't want to be careful because I don't want to badmouth any sort of modality of therapy, but there are certain therapies, again, like if you've got a cancer diagnosis, you're not going to go to your dentist for treatment. You're going to go to your
doctor. We all know you can't just sit on the couch and do talk therapy.
That's right.
And talk therapy your way out of trauma. That doesn't work.
Right.
We'll say it for you, Beau. It doesn't work. We've heard it, the stories time and time again. And that's where the frustration comes in. Yeah. And that's where we lose a lot of them. That's where they say, F this therapy stuff. They're all the same because they've never been connected with somebody that understands trauma and is able to unpack it. We got to take our next quick break. Beau, when we come back, we want to talk about the specific things at Sojourn that you do, the different modalities. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast on the OBBM network. It's okay, partner. This one. Hey, real quick, I've had a lot of people reach out to me since last week wanting to know, hey, what can I do to protect myself? That's what I teach. That's what I'm here to do. Carry in Texas is your one-stop shop. So please, I don't want anybody out there to feel fear over what occurred with the attempted assassination attempt, of President Trump. I can help you move through that. If you have a firearm, if you want to get a firearm, so please reach out and carryintexas.com. I'm here for you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. Back to you. So let's talk about Sojourn. We talked about EMDR, huge fan. That's what saved my life. What other modalities, because you have it's a conglomerate, it's a big practice, and then the atease.org partnership that you guys have going on. Let's talk about that.
Sure. Yeah. So, and I'll kind of back up a little bit and then come into that. You just talked about not wanting people to feel fear. And something I wanted to address that John said earlier is when you talked about the people at this event that you were at recently, dancing and talking about and hearing the music and talking about how that felt so good to them. Something that's important to understand when you're dealing with trauma therapy, and I do want to say a bit more about talk therapy too, but when you're dealing with trauma therapy or when you're dealing with trauma at all, felt safety is absolutely necessary in order to heal. If you don't feel, and felt safety and safety are two different things. I tell people, if you come in my office for counseling, I can guarantee you're safe. Like, there is no harm going to come to you in this place. I can guarantee that. Pretty much. I mean, I can't control tornadoes or whatever, but there's no harm going to come to you if you're here.
Oh, you can't? Oh, yeah.
All right. What good am I? But like, no harm is going to come to you here. So you're actually safe when you're in this place. But if you don't feel safe, it doesn't matter if you're safe or not, because if you don't feel safe, that's the information that you're working with.
I have been there on a couch.
On a couch, in a home, wherever you are, if you don't feel safe, then you might as well not be safe, because that's the way your brain is interacting with your environment at this point, because your brain's now telling you that there's a threat, and you can't let your guard down enough to experience healing if you're feeling like you're in a fight, and it sounds kind of silly, but I tell people, like, if you're in a firefight, if you're in a gunfight, and say you get shot in the shoulder or something, you're not gonna be like, hey, yo, time out. I gotta tend to this. I'm gonna take care of this. I'm gonna get back to you once I'm all healed up, and then we'll engage this fight again. Like, you don't have that choice. If you're in a fight, you're in a fight, and you can't take time to heal, because you have to stay engaged in the fight. That's the way it is when you're carrying all that stuff with you from all the trauma that you've experienced. You're in a fight. You're fighting because there's threats all around you, perceived threats all around you. If you don't feel safe, then you can't do the healing that's necessary to heal. And so that's something that we take seriously here at Sojourn. I'll talk about that in a minute. But
feeling safe, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but for feeling safe, because so many of our veterans and our first responder, feeling safe about your surroundings is one thing. How about vulnerability?
Sure.
A lot of us, because we were going through the academy, and you go through all these years of training and stuff, that guard is always up, and that's a physical guard, and it's also an emotional guard. So sure. We've learned throughout our careers that we cannot be vulnerable. We cannot release that. So that's also a safe feeling. So you got to be able to address that with you. How does somebody address this? We can look at the safe environment. How does someone address the vulnerability aspect of releasing some of that and opening up and feeling comfortable?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that, again, felt safety, whether it's your physical environment or your emotional state, felt safety is necessary to heal. And if you're, for someone who's coming into a therapy setting, like there are things that we do here in order to have an environment of felt safety, so like it's very kind of low lit here. It's not a lot of bright lights. We don't use like overhead fluorescent lights or anything. It's low lit. We have some soft music playing in the waiting area. We've got sound machines. You can come in and help yourself to coffee or tea or water, comfortable seating. If you see behind me here, my chair is over here and sofa is over here and the door is over here. I never put my chair between the door and my client. I want there to be a direct line of sight to the door where I'm not in the way of that. Not because I'm ever going to prevent anyone from leaving, but if they ever feel trapped in or whatever, that doesn't feel safe. So we go to lengths to make sure that people feel safe in a physical environment. And then, having rapport with the therapist and someone that you at least, and I think you'd have some inkling of trust if you show up in someone's office, or you wouldn't be there to begin with. And then it's kind of really up to the therapist to build on that trust and create a sense of emotional safety, like a completely non-judgmental environment, an environment where you can say whatever you need to say or want to say here, and it's going to be totally confidential. I've had clients who've asked me to take all technology out of my office and put it in another room because what they're talking about is top secret based on their military service. I'm cool with that. Whatever it takes for someone to feel safe, emotionally and physically is important, because again, you're not going to be able to experience healing if you're not in a state of felt safety, because your brain is going to be in that fight mode. Right. If you're fighting, you're not healing. So
but that also takes time. That also takes people go, when they go to a therapist, they're like, oh, well, that didn't work. And you only went 1 or 2 times. You didn't give your body a chance or your mind a chance to build that rapport with your therapist, or let yourself connect with your therapist. You got to, it's a two-way street. You have to connect.
Sure.
And that's very important. And that's just not 1 session, 2 sessions. That may take, depending on the individual, a couple of sessions, maybe 4, 5, 6 sessions, whatever it takes to connect. But it builds up that trust value.
Yeah. And you know what else is great for connecting and building trust is the project that you guys have going on with atease.org. First of all, I just want to put up on the screen for those of you listening on your favorite podcast app, it's Sojourn Counseling. That's SOJOURN counseling.org. That is Beau's practice. And so take us through atease.org and how people can spread the word and connect with this project that you're doing. I'm going to try and share the screen while you're explaining.
Yeah, sure. So atease.org is just a project of Sojourn. So it's not a separate organization or anything. It's just a few years ago, I realized that anytime I go and I speak to a group of veterans or first responders, or if I go speak at a church or a school or whatever, when I'm speaking about trauma and PTSD, and I get up and I start describing what trauma looks like and how it impacts you, or what it might look like in your spouse or your a loved one. And I go through all this just description of trauma and post-traumatic stress. Almost every single time I'll go and speak, people come up to me afterwards and it's like, man, you just described me. And you just pinpointed exactly how I live and what my life is like, or my spouse or my brother, or like whatever. And just that understanding of what trauma looks like and how it impacts your brain and your body and your life gives people just a glimpse of hope that, like, oh man, someone gets it. Someone knows what's going on. And because of that, I feel like that maybe I can believe that message that there's hope for healing. And so I started thinking, well, gosh, man, if when I go speak to these little groups of people around Alabama and 1 or 2 people each time come away with this sort of glimmer of hope for healing, I was like, I want to make that broadcast as far and wide as I can. And so we decided to come up with this website. We call it atease.org. Right now, if you go to the website, it's just our Alabama PTSD awareness license plate. The website has actually taken longer to build out than we expected. And so right now there's some like database work going on in the background of it. And hopefully it's going to be in the next week or 2, it'll be launched fully. But it's going to be a PTSD awareness And I say PTSD, although I don't believe the D part of PTSD, just it's how people recognize the, that's why we call it that. But post-traumatic stress injury, post-traumatic stress information website for people with resources. And like I've done interviews with people like Sam and others that are experts in certain areas or provide resources. What I want to do is I want to provide to anyone possible out there who can land on our website just a glimmer of hope for healing, so that they can come away from their experience with the website and know that they have a chance to heal, because you can heal from trauma, you can heal from post-traumatic stress. And I want anyone who lands on the website to come away with that sense. And so we've got, right now it's going to be very sort of Alabama focused in terms of resources. Once we get that well established, then we're going to make it a national resource website and information and just encouragement for people who are living with post-traumatic stress that you're not alone, you're not crazy. There are ways to heal, and we want to help direct you as best we can to resources and help for your healing process. So
exactly, you're not alone. And right now, this is only available in Alabama. So hopefully, as more people go ahead and invest, exactly what it says, invest in hope, this will spread to more states. So again, it's at ease.org. You can find out more information.
Each
And
symbol has something
we
too,
have,
right?
say again?
Each symbol means something on the plate, correct?
That's
Yeah,
right.
so we've got to take our quick last break here, and all the symbols, if you just scroll down the page, are right there. We got to take our last quick break. We'll be right back with Beau Armistead.
To the Health Engineer Show, I'm Clint Buckley, the Health Engineer, right here on the Offbeat.
Hi, I'm Larry Cortampa.
Hi, my name is Susan Hamilton, and you're watching Offbeat.
Hi, this is Doreen Milano. Welcome to Big Ideas Small Business, where we will talk to Carrie Arjala.
Hey, welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast with John and Sam, with our guest Beau Armistead, with Project it's at ease and counseling, and a counseling group. There's so much involved with mental health, and Beau, I don't think we just scratched some of the surface on the resources and the things that you avail to our first responders and our veterans. And I think, what you provide for everybody who's battling is tremendous, and I want to thank you for it.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is the best way for people to reach out?
Yeah, so the web addresses you gave there, sojourncounseling.org is our counseling practice website. At ease.org is our PTSD awareness website. Again, right now there's only a license plate there, but it'll be full of resources and information here before too long. So those are the two websites to reach us, and on there's contact information. But we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, YouTube. We've got an At Ease YouTube channel and a Sojourn YouTube channel, also with more videos, information about about trauma and post-traumatic stress, and just different resources there. So you can check those YouTube channels out. There's a good bit there.
And if you guys are watching and listening on your favorite podcast app, I said the website before, it's sojourncounseling.org. So you are a nonprofit. And so you provide a lot of pro bono services because getting good mental health, access to good mental health shouldn't be a barrier. Unfortunately, it remains. And so we applaud you, Beau, for making it a priority, because if one, like John said, if one person gets the help, they can tell somebody else, and then you treat that person, then they say, yes, I got help. And it just is that giant snowball effect.
Right. And I'll tell you, just with the one person, then this is just an Alabama thing too, but we do a fundraiser each year called Run, Ride, and Rumble for PTSD awareness. And it's a 5K run, a bicycle ride, and a motorcycle ride. And each of those people who participate in those events come together at a brewery afterwards for a big party. We have live music and food catered. And we did it this in June. We had our third annual, but after our first one, that year between our first one and our second one, I had 3 different people tell me here in the office that because of our fundraising event, which, we have to do the fundraising event to help provide the services well, but because of that fundraising event, they heard for the first time that there was hope for healing from post-traumatic stress. I had never heard that before. Didn't know about EMDR, didn't know about microcurrent neurofeedback or brain spotting or some of these modalities that we use. But because of the fundraiser, they heard about hope for healing. Because of that, they came to Sojourn, they got treatment. 3 people between those first 2 events told me that they were still alive today because they heard about that event and they came to ride their motorcycle or they came to ride their bicycle. And to me, that's what it's all. If we do this event, for the rest of my life, if there's one person that's still here today because of that event, that's what it's all about. And
God bless you.
It's the same here with our counseling services, man. If there's one person who walks through these doors and realizes that there's hope, and then they experience that healing for themselves, that's what it's all about. And I want this environment here, whether you are, and I've tried to kind of set it up here because a lot of times the services that are free or discounted are very sterile. I feel very, clinical, very hospital-like.
Sterile is a good, not the connection you were looking for.
Yeah. And so here, I want it to feel like you're walking into your living room, and I want it to feel like whether you are a millionaire or you're living in your pickup truck on a hunting land or wherever, and we've got all of the above here. I want you to have the same experience. I don't want you to feel like, well, because I don't have money in the bank, I've got to go to a place where I feel like, not important or not seen or not cared for in the same way as if I had money. I want everyone to have the same experience. And again, if it's one person that gets that healing and survives, like you were talking earlier about people not considering themselves a victim. Yeah, they're survivors. And if you make it through these traumatic events and you're able to heal and get to the other side and continue living life and loving your family, you're a survivor. And that's amazing.
It is amazing. And that is what it's all about. Beau, we can't thank you enough for spending this hour with us. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Please check out SojournCounseling.org. Connect with Beau. You deserve it. You are not alone. And there is hope in the healing. And so, Beau, thank you so much. We will be
I'm going to be reaching out to you, Beau. I'm going to be reaching out to you because I'm going to have you on. I host a radio show, and it's full of bikers. So I'd help you. I want to help you to promote that June run.
Rumble part.
For the next
rumble part.
For the next year. So I'm going to connect with you. So we'll talk real soon.
Awesome. All right. Thank you
so much. So much. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care.
This was fantastic. And keep spreading the word, especially that Rumble part. I know that connected a lot with you. Hey, everybody that's joins us week over week, thank you so much. We truly appreciate the support and for sharing this out with your network, whatever that network may be. Please continue, like, subscribe wherever you're watching this. And, we are looking for our anchor sponsor. If you are somebody that wants to promote your product, John and I love coffee, but it doesn't have to be coffee. If you have a product out there and you want to blast it out and you are loving the first responder and veteran community, get in touch with us at badgeofhonor.org. We'll make that happen. If you want to give back directly to our veterans and first responders, we got a blue donate button right on the homepage. So go there now for all of the upcoming events. And we have got a jam-packed fall season. I am in the process of getting them all up because there's so much amazing work with a lot of our partners. We're going to be doing equine therapy. We're going to be doing stuff with kayaking and fishing. It's going to be a blast, and it is all to help heal, to get a day out of the office. Let's find you again. And so go to badgeofhonor.org, click on events, and you can find out where we are and what we're doing and how you can get involved. For all of our first responders out there, Beau laid it out beautifully. There is hope and healing. Don't be afraid to raise your hand. Okay. You're not stuck in the loop of EAP. There's plenty of places outside of the office. We can connect you. You just heard Beau. Beau is a great connection. Get in touch with him. And so we are here for you. Thank you for everything that you do to keep our community safe. For all of our veterans out there, God bless you for staying in the fight, for doing what your country asked of you. There is a debt to be repaid that I don't know if we'll ever get it right, John, honestly. But thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts so that we can do a show like this every week. And to all of our active duty personnel spread out across the globe, thank you so much for what you do for keeping us safe here on the homeland. John, take us home.
Well, before the Battling Betties website, Battling Betties North Texas website, you'll click on it and you'll see a badge of honor right there. Patty, the president, has for her birthday, all the money raised for her birthday is being donated to a badge of honor. So if you can go, you can either donate directly to us or you can go to the Battling Betties website and
thank
donate.
You, Battling Betties.
Yeah. President of the Battling Betties is donating all her funds to a badge of honor for her birthday. So go help Patty. Say happy birthday and donate $5.
God bless you.
Yeah. So once again, man, this is what we want to spread and help that one person. God bless our vets. God bless our first responders. And remember, do not give up. Do not give up. There's something out there that's going to help you heal and get through that battle, because tomorrow that sun's going to shine and you're going to love the experience you feel. So until next week, peace.
Take care, everybody.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBN Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBN Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.